On a day-to-day the shit change, but you know for the most part nothing indifferent. Sometimes be stuck in my ways, weekend fucked up in somebody's kitchen, sticking my hand, I'm chilling with the troops and my few cans down, so I walk like Winston. Trust me, I wake up hanging, you hang that I'm leaving this bed, you're kidding, I'm sitting on back in the pad, get deep fried and I smoke some packs of the grass, put the feet up, kick back and relaxing at best, no I'm sitting on Reilly's.
I think when you, see when I first started drinking coffee and that, I used to be like a pure caramel latte, pure sugar it up, but then you mature, don't you, in your palate?
Wait till you get to 52.
What are you into coffee wise? Hot drinks in general, do you take a Bovril?
Do you know what I remember? Bovrils bring back great memories because my Bovrils were at the football with my dad.
Bovril.
You can't be a Bovril at the football.
So I'm proper going back to the early 70s though.
Bring that closer to your mouth. We need to hear your luscious tones. You might have the smoothest voice I've ever heard, by the way. I want to continue the story you're telling, but
so I hope I can share lots of stories with you because there's being an older guy, you've got lots of stories that you want to share. I got to apologise for these shades as well. These are prescription shades. So
glorious.
On, man.
Cheers, thank you.
I just got a pair of them, by the way. I'd never had a pair.
I like the way you fully understand the art of making your guests feel good, so that you can relax them. You're like that. They're glorious.
No, they are glorious. As soon as I seen you rocking up with a Keystore jacket and the specs, and I thought, we're in for a ride today.
Have we started?
We'll just start. We're started. We're on.
Cool.
I want to hear about this football in the 70s.
So football in the 70s was like you couldn't imagine. It was complete. I'd have liked to even went further back to football in the 40s just to see what that was like. Football in the 20s.
Post World War II football that must have been like coming out. That's like the season after the COVID season, man.
There was a. Do you know what I think? What the most stark difference is. I remember standing at football matches, proper standing with, and you might have heard stories when there was there was a goal scored, you would genuinely end up 200 yards away from where you stood. The crowd would move you. See, back in you forget that in Scottish football, the old stadiums were built in a particular design and they crammed in, like you couldn't imagine how many people, and it was so they used to have this thing where they would say, today's official attendance is 36,432, and you knew there was 80.
That was like official attendance.
They were seriously cooking the books.
Even when you see the official attendances, like you see the one, I forget what it was. I don't know if it was at Hampden or may have been one at Wembley or something. It was like 115,000.
138,000 was
Scottish Cup final.
Well, I think one of the records was when Celtic played Leeds United in
that's the one,
the European Cup semi-final, and I think it was 138,000.
And there was people climbing out the stadium.
It was just. I remember I used to go and see Pollock Juniors when I was a kid.
Solid club.
Pollock Juniors would have easy 2,500-3,000 people following them.
They've got a good
in the 80s. You know, and it was a cracking old. It's just, but then again, what happened was you had the whole Hillsborough thing and the Heysel disaster and that. You know, the authorities were like, right.
That was the 9/11 of football stadiums, when it was like, right, we need to do something different here.
They get some regulations in.
And then they came through with the all-seater thing, which I don't know. I mean, I know for safety. I mean, they're trying to bring it back, the standing areas and stuff, but. I was, funnily enough, invited to the Edinburgh Derby about 3 weeks ago, and Hibs have got a full standing section.
Oh, have they? Aye.
Hibs have got it now as well.
Celtic are trying to get the Celtic end going. They keep going to the Celtic women's games.
They keep infiltrating the women's game. Maybe like, this is going to be class.
See how good this is.
There's people getting there's like women that are pissed off at that by saying like, don't use our game to like come and protest something for the men's game. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what was really interesting, right? I do a bit of work with what I do when I'm not doing the Keystore stuff, but I was doing an event where I was interviewing some referees.
Nice.
And what the referees were saying, so with a real interesting discussion about, is there bias in Scottish football? And the referees were saying, do you know what, whether or not the fans think there is or there isn't, it says, see, as a professional football referee, you don't have the time to be biased. He says you are so focused on trying to make the right decision. So this whole bias thing, and I kind of agreed with it. I was
I kind of disagree with that.
well, it's interesting
because I just think there's bias in everybody. Like,
well, no, there probably is.
even unconscious bias in that. Do you know what I mean? Like, people just like wanted to see that handball in the box. No, I wanted to see that.
What the referee said, which was really, really interesting, I never thought about this before. He said women are playing a men's game, and he didn't mean that, I don't think, a sexist way. He was saying, see the football, the actual field and the goals, they were actually structured for like 6 foot men.
Aye.
And he said women are, just whether you like it or not, they're slightly smaller, you know, on average to men. So women are playing in bigger goals, they're playing in a bigger field, they're playing in a bigger space, which puts them at a real disadvantage. And he just gave a really interesting perspective on football.
They do. I keep saying, obviously, I think the Rangers were playing Celtic, the women's team, and like somebody shared, I think it was the Rangers winning goal, the third goal, and it was like this lassie returned for injury, and she turns quite nice, and she kind of lobs the keeper, but she lobs the keeper just by like hitting it above her head slightly. Do you know what I mean? And I think there was a lot of people saying they need to make it's smaller
Slightly
for the women.
smaller. I'd
But
agree with
then
that.
I would agree with that, but then you would have like, I think you'd have women coming out and being like, how dare you?
I think, mate, I'm at like women's sevens would be good probably. 'Cause,
Seven
like,
aside women.
Technically, man, see when you watch see the Barca women's team, they might be like the best team in the world, mate.
I think the Barca any team are
Aye,
just like
true.
incredible. You
There's
know?
there's a woman Putelis for them, and she's
her.
a demon, mate. She's a nightmare. Honestly.
I remember my best friend lived in Barcelona for many years. He's half Spanish, and Barcelona have got like an incredible basketball team. They've got a
really?
handball team. They've got like, you know, people forget that it's not just a football team. They've got a whole sports academy of other sports because they're always out in the sun just
Aye.
playing
They've
handball.
also got amazing, they've got the best pickpocketing team. Do you know that?
Aye.
Number
That is
one.
so bad there,
Oh
by
my
the way.
goodness.
Aye.
They're
Horrendous.
good at the watches.
Oh, the
Well,
watch.
I remember with one of the first times I arrived in Barcelona, my mate Dave took us walking through the streets, and there's just this guy in a flamenco guitar walking in front of us, just playing flamenco, singing some Spanish, deep, meaningful, beautiful Spanish songs. And then just out of nowhere, some guy ran by and with a knife sliced some lassie's handbag off and ran off into the distance.
So that was the distraction?
I don't know if it was, but it was just all like art in front of me. Do you know what I mean? It was just,
Aye, like a pure
Aye, that was
it
like
was
the
just what- it was
contrast.
like- I was just like some sort of
pincer play.
it was an incredible scene, but Barcelona's lovely. I've got a gift for you just before.
Really?
Aye, I thought if I arrive, I've got to bring you something courtesy of Keystore.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yes.
So don't look because I've brought it in a Keystore bag, and I thought I had to pay homage to our fabulous moment where we met each
course,
other.
man.
So I want to start by Evan presenting you with some Johnny's onion rings, an old
glorious.
school favourite. And I've never actually tried these, Jamie, but I think
brother.
you deserve a packet of Takis
Oh, my
as well.
goodness
Never
gracious.
tried them.
I'll
And
swap
I
it.
remember Jamie said, I love blue juice.
Oh,
in particular."
you know what?
So
You're
you've
a
got to- you've
star,
got to-
by the way.
And Elliot and I, when we were preparing this whole moment, was like, what will I get Evan? Because Jamie loves his blue juice. And Elliot was like, listen, you can't go wrong with 2 bottles of blue juice. So, I mean,
I
come
do.
on.
Jamie
And
Kelly.
it gets better. It gets better. Because, of course, Jamie, I know that you had the wrong answer with a Yorkie bar, but I didn't just get you any ordinary Yorkie bar.
my.
I got you a bar of Yorkie. That's like hybrid next level Yorkie.
That's the one I was going nuts about, and that bit didn't make it to the final one, but I was going nuts about that. I was saying
That's
I've
like-
never seen that. Was it honeycomb?
Aye.
And that's not what's wrong with Springburn. Evan. It needs to be.
The famous Star Bar.
I've never ever had one of these in my
Right,
life.
we got to open it.
I don't
Have
know
it.
if you
Star
know-
bars are amazing, but
Aye.
finally, the chocolate bar that gave me more tooth decay as a teenager than anything. The number 1 chocolate bar in the world.
Yes,
Mars. It's
yeah.
got to be a Mars bar.
The MB.
It's got to be a Mars
That
bar.
must be yours.
That's mine.
yours.
That's mine. I think he's got more than.
These are brilliant.
But
Thank you so much. I've never had one of
thank
these.
you for coming on the Keystore stuff because it was so much fun. I had no idea. I had no idea how enjoyable that was going to be. It was, and do you know, for those folk watching, I think what was just incredible, you just turned up. We'd never met each other before, and all we really said was, "Let's just have a giggle."
Aye.
You know, and what came out of it was just this utterly bizarre but sensible moment of just collective humour and fun and laughter. It was lovely.
The stars just, I don't know what happened that day, man. The stars think it was a full moon. I think
Maybe it was.
you could see Jupiter. I could see it when I was doing the quiz. I could see Jupiter, and I just thought something's
Maybe it
going to
was.
happen today.
Maybe there was some sort of
Stars.
astrological
It felt
alignment.
like that because obviously you
ever looked into that stuff?
What's that?
Your astrological chart? It's
When you're born?
fascinating. Aye.
When you're the night.
So you live your star sign, right, which is a sun sign. So I've no idea, but there will be some sort of astrological alignment in our chart that makes us get on. There's no doubt.
Really? Aye.
Oh, Evan, listen, Evan, I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm not super fascinated by it, but I've read into a little bit of it, and there's incredible
you
truth
take a
in it.
peek, but
I've taken a big peek. I've taken more than a peek, and my brother knows quite a bit about it. And I remember one time he said, "Gregor, you're a Gemini, right?" And I was like, "Aye." He says, "So you're a good communicator. You're right into communication. You're good with people. You're very sociable." And he said, "Aye." And he said, "But that's your sun sign." He says, "Do you want to learn about your moon sign?"
is that the dark side?
No. That's your like feminine side. That's
Alright.
the side.
I know nothing about that.
I don't think I
I'm
have one of
telling-
them. I don't think I have a moon sign.
Jamie,
I'll get
you,
two
you'll
sun
have
ones.
one.
The moon disappeared for a day when James Kelly was bald.
The skies went black.
So I looked into it, and it turns out that I'm a Pisces moon. And I read into what a Pisces moon is, and it filled in all the blanks for, I'm this Gemini figure, but, internally I'm quite emotional, quite sensitive, and, take on the feelings of others. It really just articulated a lot of what I was, and I read it and I thought, wow, that's too spot on.
I think I've looked into mine before, and I think it is like eerily spot on. I'm a Sagittarius.
So am I.
Are you?
There you
Aye,
go.
obviously.
I always
we're
think
like
'cause you're
2 weeks apart or something.
2 peas in a pod.
Mate,
3 peas in a pod
Is
today.
that why?
But no, I don't know. I think that there will be. I don't know enough about it, but just I do know that my best friends are always Librans. So,
Right.
And Librans and Geminis are
Yes.
together, very strong.
I wonder if Sagittarius and Geminis.
They're
then.
meant to be.
Can we get a Google on that?
Can we get the Google up?
Denny's like water, because there's the 4 fixed signs, right?
I
There's
love water.
the-
Volvic.
Right, so there's I mean, like the sea stuff like that.
It's alright. I prefer Volvic, but
I like Volvic.
I'm
too.
shit scared of the sea.
he hates it.
Deathly scared of it.
So it's just interesting that there is I think it's air, fire, water, and whatever the other sign is. And if you're so Pisces is water, and I'm very fond of the water. I like swimming. And,
I like fire.
aye.
I
Well, it
like
might be
fire.
that you're a fire sign.
I like arson. Arson.
He
stuff
is a
and
bit
that.
of an arson. Because we went camping once, and this guy had a few brewskis and a couple of bits of devil's lettuce, and this guy was. We already had a decent sized fire,
Aye.
got on the go.
And
But
you
this
just-
guy,
you took it to another
he's
level.
the flames.
How did you start it?
Did
you use firelighters?
I cheated my
Is
way
that,
there.
is that bad?
Well, I've got a big mate, Tom Gold, who's one of these bushcraft instructors,
Oh,
and he
very
does
nice.
he does the whole
Two
he
sticks.
feathers the wood and shaves it.
What do you call that one? That's like it's like you spin it on the wood.
I'm not too sure. He could probably do that, but he makes these like fire torches. Like you see in The Simpsons and all that. They're cutting about the
Like a mob.
Springfield. Aye, well, he makes
That
those
would be
kind of
class
things.
for in here.
Aye,
And
we should get a couple of
We
them.
should
on
get a
sticks.
guy, Caldog. We should get Caldog in here,
Cow dog,
and he
Scottish
should
Declan.
just. We should get either the Scottish
side.
TikTok Avengers.
Each side, just
That'd be
holding them up.
class. But it is interesting you're saying about the star signs. My girlfriend's dead into that. She's got a book of witchy spells, which I don't know about all that. She was like, "Do you want me to?" I think I was worrying about money or something. She was like, "Want me to do a spell for you?" And I was like, "I think I'll just maybe jot down in my notes a monthly sort of plan."
You wonder why. I mean, this kind of stuff goes back thousands of years. You know what I mean? And there's people who call it a science and study it. I just find it interesting speaking to people and sharing their perspective on what makes them understand their influence of the universe
Aye.
on them. And astrology's a massive part of
And
it.
if it helps you like understand yourself better, see if
Aye.
you're sitting, you're like, what's going on? No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had this, like, I feel this mad way and all that, and then somebody looks in there and they're like, right, this is something I can get into. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny you're saying that. Obviously, I said my girlfriend's really into
Witch shit.
witches and your tarot cards and star signs, stuff like that. And like, I feel like most guys are like, "Aye, all right, folks, right." But she done my cards once, and I was stressing about my job, and I remember she done them right. So like, if you've not done them before, you get like 9 cards out, and then you lay them like 3, 3, 3, and your centre card, you pull that out first, and that is like everything relates to your centre card. So say your centre card's a moon. You look through the wee book, and if the moon is next to a fox, it'll mean something different than if it's next to the sun. But some of them mean nothing, right? Some of them it's like, oh, that means nothing, that means nothing. One of them was, I can't remember what 2 cards it was, but it was, she read it and it said, don't leave your job that you're in now, you're going to get really good news. And see 2 days later, I got some fantastic news.
Yeah.
And I was like, I text, I was like, these fucking cards are fucking real, man.
Mate, that would scare me.
Aye, it did scare me a bit.
I think it's like anything as well. I think there's maybe particular people that can take advantage of it. You know, you see these
I
psychic
know a few of
mediums and
them.
stuff. And I think there's a few out there, but I think there is truth and depth into the science of it. And I think anyone that practices it, I'm always keen to listen to people who don't charge money for their services because they're doing it from the heart and they're doing it for the true purpose of what they're doing. I know a few people who do it like that, and I'd be interested to listen to them, because when you're kind of receiving this, what would be a service from someone they're charging, you always think it can be a bit tainted.
Aye,
you know?
aye, then I mean, aye. What are you going to say, sorry?
I know, I was just going to say, like, see stuff like this, right? See, like, in astrology and that, the reason I don't look right into it is because I'm a gullible man. No, I mean, I'll just be like, I'm all in on this. No, I mean, that's 100% true. Like, for example, I was on holiday once, and a guy was doing, I know what this is now, right? I was a bit younger, but somebody was doing the hang with the cups.
Aye.
You know how they hang with the cups in the ball? And
Yep.
it's like, oh, you put a bet on, if you use a tenner, you win 50, 20, you win 100. And then it goes up like that kind of thing. And I was like, good. And it was like you had to, so they'd put the ball down, there'd be 3 cups, and then they would like mix them all around, and then they'd say what one's it in. And you'd see what one it is, you know what I mean? You'd see it moving about. But then
The ball's stuck up the inside.
it's just, they just hold it in their wrist.
Aye.
And then they put it into the wrong one. Like there's no ball in it. And then
Who would do that?
well, these
Pure evil.
scam artists will do it
I
to me,
know.
and they got a good 60 quid off me. And I was like, no, it was in.
How long
I
did you
don't
hang
know
about
it.
for?
I was there for a
60
good 20
quid?
minutes. Just like I just thought it was free score bets. I was like,
Or you just kept at it thinking I'm going to
I
win?
tried to put an
I'm gonna
accumulator
win.
on the night.
I'm going to
That
win.
one, first goal scorer of that cup, over 5.5 corners. Mate, you've got a history of being scammed. Mind you get scammed for Cuban cigars.
oh, I get scammed for well.
Is that
I get kind of peer pressured into buying cigars off of the waiter boy. So in Cuba, they don't have their wages are terrible for the workers, right? And it's a shame. And it's like, see if you tip somebody good on like the first day, they'll come to you. Like
Yeah,
the guy
keep
came
at
up
you.
to my room and all that. Like he just came up and delivered drinks to my room one day and stuff. Like the pure. So I ended up kind of pally with him, mate. No mind, I gave him my trainees and that. I don't tell you that. No. I gave him a pair of trainers because he was like growing about how he pure loved my shoes, and I was like, these are pure old bangers, man. It was like ones I was wearing out and they were all ripped and all that. I was like, mate, I'll give you them. Bounced up and changed my shoes and gave him them. Then I was like, why am I giving guys my shoes? But the same dude, I was saying we're going to the what do you call it, Cohiba factory. They make like Cohiban cigars, and we were going there, and I was like, it was like, when you get there, he was like, they're expensive in the shops. The boxes of them were like 50 quid or something. They weren't that expensive, but he was like, they're really expensive. He was like, I do the same. It's just at the back. So people slip them, and I do them cheaper. He was like, just come to me, and I was like, I didn't bother. And then like went to the thing, seen these mad like wooden boxes of cigars, and I was like, these are amazing. And then didn't buy any.
How much did they sell them for?
They sold them for like, because it was in like, it would have been, I forget what the money was, but it was like the equivalent of like 45 quid for like 20 cigars. So it was good for these pure good cigars. Like here, one of them cost like 40 quid or something. So it was like, it was a dead good deal, but I was like, no, I'll wait and I'll get Manuel, whatever the boy's name was.
Trusty Manuel.
The next day, I was like, you need to go and get me my cigars. And he was like, hi, I need bought like 20 quid or whatever. And I gave him it, and he just done that. And it was a plastic bag full of loose cigars.
And that's that bag.
It was like a blue bag. It was like a Keystore bag. No throwing shade on the Keystore bags. They're a high quality of bag.
They are indeed.
They're a great quality of bag. See, compared to the Co-op.
We've got one here. What is it?
That's a good bag.
It's under the
by
seat.
way.
It's under the seat.
Just trust us. It's a
Trust
good
us,
bag.
it's a great bag.
But it's interesting that because you do go into a lot of stores now, and they've kind of got like those food waste style bags. You know, I want a
bin
proper
bags.
I want some
Come
proper
on, mate.
plastic. I want something that's going to
Some
support
old school
some-
earth destroying plastic for me.
Absolutely, I want something that's going to hold that blue juice with strength.
I want
what I
something
mean?
that's going to suffocate a turtle. I want something good strength.
Good,
in
like at least 300-year landfill plastic.
Aye.
Like none of this
going to be
biodegradable.
a bit well after us.
I don't even know how long that kind of food waste plastic actually.
That's a skiff.
I think the bags disintegrate within like a week and a half.
I don't
Like,
know.
I don't think you
they
can keep.
stay about for a lot longer than that. I can't see them.
Well, they can't handle 12 eggs and a milk.
Once they started taking my straws for me, I thought this is when we need to rise up.
I know. I've never quite got my head around
Paper
how you can go into Lidl and look at the incredible amounts of plastic, but your paper straws are going to sort this problem.
Aye, they're
It's an
going to
absolute
solve
joke,
everything.
mate. I want to go back to that fateful day we met because. So it all started. This all stemmed our relationship. All stemmed for we were sitting in here actually one night, and I
This
think
very room.
Jamie brought you up or said he wants to go on the Keystore show, and I said, funny enough, I've been watching that as well. And we had never discussed you before that. We had never said, oh, look at this guy. He's fucking great or he's fucking shite. We never said a single word. And then we're in here and naturally we start talking about it. And most of the time, like people on TikTok, we talk about 9 times out of 10 of us slagging them probably. And we, like a lot of the time, playful patter we're having with them. But we were both like, I fucking love that guy. Like immediately we're like, he's an absolute star. And then that clip went quite big. And so how did you hear about that
Well,
clip that we first put out?
So what happened, to give you a wee bit of backstory, my boy runs the TikTok for Keystore.
Elliot.
Aye. And I've got 2 boys, love them both dearly. Great lads, absolutely proud to bits of both of them. Elliot approached me and he said, Dad, I've got the TikTok gig for Keystore. He says they're going to need a presenter. And for folk that don't know, I've been a presenter and entertainer for about, I say that loosely, entertainer. But I've been a presenter and a host for about 20 odd years. So he just said to me, Dad, they need a presenter. I was like, you want me to do it? And he said, aye. And I said, well, just keys the mic and tell us what you want me to do. And I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Facebook. Elliot calls me a WhatsApp ultra.
You do love a WhatsApp.
And I can't help myself. I mean, I've got so many people on WhatsApp and I keep in touch with them, honestly, all the time.
WhatsApp as a social media is the sickest shit ever.
See, the reason I use WhatsApp, so I have the good fortune now of presenting, hosting events, but I also do business training for business people and help them with their public speaking. And they're all on LinkedIn. I'm like, listen, see if my WhatsApp bings, it's either Aaron or Elliot, and I'm straight on it. So if I'm like that, the folk I'm in business with, if I want to get in touch with them, for me, it's WhatsApp. And I'll go, you're right. So anyway, Elliot had said to me, Dad, will you be the presenter? And I was like, absolutely, no problem at all. Just keys a mic. So I never stepped into it. I mean, here's me sitting in my Keystore jacket.
Keystore jacket on
totally branded up. Like, I'm here to represent
man.
Keystore. The reason I'm wearing it is we were actually filming some videos recently. So anyway, he said, Dad, will you do it? And I had no idea what I was stepping into because my experience was like hosting big events and doing some TV presenting, and it was all just the days of me searching for, kind of ascension and fame had passed me a long time ago. So I was just like, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. He said, will you be the Keystore presenter? I was like, aye, no problem. So I wasn't stepping into it, trying to be an influencer. I don't even really know how TikTok works. I just thought, geez the mic, let's have a laugh. And if anyone comes into the space, I'm just going to have a giggle with them.
Aye.
And I thought people will respond to that. And I'm not going to try and be something I'm not, because I understood and learned that years ago that if you want to succeed, you got a much better chance if you're just yourself.
Aye.
So we just started it. And then Elliot was posting it, and he really knows what he's doing in terms of the editing and what Dad hears what you want to say, and he's directing me and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't sure how it was going. I was just saying how the video's doing. And then one time I downloaded TikTok and was like watching myself, and I was like, I can't do this. This is frying my head. Looking at yourself, and thankfully, and I haven't downloaded it again because I get shot at, but thankfully at that point, the comments were all favourable. So I wasn't getting ripped. And I thought, this can't be that bad. And I thought, I'll just leave it with Elliot. They can let me know how it's going. Then out the blue, I made a friend who's a really talented musician called Luke Lavolpe.
Yeah, he's good, him.
Luke's he's a lovely
great.
lad, and I keep in touch with him regular. And I was at a music festival in the north of England, not thinking anything, and I get this text on WhatsApp, of all things, because that's where it comes to. And it was, these boys are talking about you, laugh face, laugh face, laugh face. And I looked at it and I went, oh no. Oh no. I thought, I bet they're ripping me. I bet. And I didn't know, I just thought, and then I was dreading opening it because I didn't know what to expect. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, I don't even have TikTok. And I wasn't really getting that worried about it because I thought, it can't be that bad. But I thought, oh man, is this going to send the TikTok Keystore in the wrong direction? Are they going to be making fun of me? And I found someone at the event at TikTok and said, do us a favour, can you search for whatever it was, this link? And I passed the link to them and they opened it. And I was like, that's lovely. On it, and I mean that sincerely. I was choked because I was like, you were genuinely speaking about me in such a nice way. I thought that's a lovely thing to receive, and it was just very, very pleasant. And thank you, because it brought a real smile to my day, and it kind of validated just the naturalness of what I was trying to do. Because I wasn't trying to be an actor, or I was just having a laugh with my son.
I think because initially, I mean, we did not know who you were. We didn't know you done, public speaking, help people with public speaking. We thought, man, Keystore has some talent in the ranks, by the way. This guy, what's he doing behind the till? We genuinely thought you were just like a store supervisor or something.
I think the thing was, I don't think it was much like that. I think it was more like, we were like, there's no way this this guy just like the funny thought was, imagine this was just a guy behind the till, because it kind of obviously wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It was like, this guy's too good for this. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was expecting. No meaning that working behind the till.
No, I know,
working behind the till at Keystore.
And that was a lovely compliment to receive. But that came on the back of 20 years busting my backside at event after event, learning how to do what you need to do to engage an audience and how you connect with an audience. And that is, so when I stepped in at that moment with Keystore, there was a lot of experience to go, right, I know how to talk to an audience, I know how to, and the crucial thing that anyone who's stepping into this whole space needs to focus on, you need to focus on one key thing, making people feel good. That's it. See if you can make people feel good, you're on to a winner. And mean it and mean it honestly.
Genuinely.
And then genuinely try and make them feel good. I believe in life, that's what people want, because you made me feel good, right? And I'm here tonight, amongst other reasons, but you made me feel good. And that created an immediate bond between us. And I think if you make people feel good naturally and honestly, you've got them. You have got them. And that's something I've learned at events.
Well, that's what I was going to say, like the experience, it's like, because people would maybe see it like, obviously TikTok's quite like a young person's thing. Like we're getting on a bit for the TikTok.
We're getting on.
Aye, but then so like it's kind of more inexperienced people that are trying to do it, and I think you coming onto TikTok and just blowing out the water. It's like now when you see like I don't know, like Del Piero got to play in like
Australia
like just 35 or whatever. There's just a class above
that is
everybody.
exactly what it looked like. Like the first touches, mine was better than everybody's.
Technically, that just
well,
like
I'm not aware of that whole culture. I'm totally unaware. And Elliot's like that. Anytime I ask him, he's like, "Damn, shut up." I mean, we can buy on
Elliot's
WhatsApp.
the real boss, I think. Elliot's
100%.
How talented is he? Like
100%. And it's funny because for years and years, he grew up with me saying, "Right, Elliot, you might want to consider that." And if you do that, and as any dad would do, and I'm sure when you go into your own families, you'll love your children equally and lovingly. But it's an amazing experience having children, and that is by far the hardest thing you'll ever do, by a mile. Nobody prepares you for it. Nobody says, listen, are you aware how difficult this whole profound experience is going to be? And you're like, no. You move into it and you get help and support. But he has he's now in a position where he just says, and he's really direct, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to say. This is how I want you to move. And this is how the camera's going to come at you. And I'm just having a laugh. But I think it's a nice mix, because you've got a father that understands his son and a son that understands his father. And maybe that's why some family businesses work really well. But I think we just have a unique way. And I'm the same with mother-son as well. You know, you have a uniqueness about your communication with your family if you're close to them and you invest time in them. And he's able to just say to me, Dad, that's what you do. And I don't question it. I'm just like that.
So see, because what made me fall in love with the content that you posted even before, obviously, we went on it, and I would just be sitting at night, and like most people our age, a bit younger, even older, there's guys in my work that are scrolling through TikTok in their 50s and that, but at night you're kind of just about to kind of go to sleep and you're like, let's see what Lee Sutherland's been up to, or like, you know what I mean, you're like, let's see if
See, I
Lee's
didn't
online.
even know these characters. I had no idea. I
Do you
still
know
don't
Lee Sutherland
really.
now?
Well, not really, because I'm not on
We'll
it. but
get him in, look, you can meet him.
I hear about it.
If you've ever got any like legal trouble,
He's your man.
he's your man.
100% man.
But most people will be sitting scrolling, and I would just see, because first of all, so say like a brand like Nike, see if they done TikToks, you know they're going to be quality. You know what I mean? They're a massive. But Keystore, you're thinking, all right, there's a lot of Keystores, 220 to be precise.
That's more than I know.
They're hoping to hit 500 by 2031. But
Is that right? Evan, he's sorry.
He's not bad.
He's on it. He's
People
more
say
than-
we don't prepare,
No,
mate.
hey, I know you do. I know you do.
But so the quality of Keystores you're expecting, right? It's going to be a bit more sort of naive, sort of like somebody doing it on their phone. But the quality got me right away. I was like, that's a full scale camera setup.
Yep.
And then what made me fall in love with it is how clearly comfortable you are on the camera and speaking, and got great a great way of speaking, like, and you don't really stutter over your words, and it's obviously comes to that experience of presenting and live events and stuff. But then that contrast with these innocent shoppers that are just like, what you doing? I'm in to get apples. No, that is what made it amazing for me.
Yeah, I think that's what I've learned as well. And I again, I'm pretty new to this. I think Elliot needs to be thanked for that. But my understanding of it is it needs to be filmed really well, right? There needs to be good content in terms of, and for me, the content and the gold is the punters that you speak to.
100%.
It needs to be filmed really well. The content needs to be good. And I think you need to have someone who's engaging, someone that's willing to have a giggle. And I've got an experience of years of being able to do that. And that's why I was so readily just say, Elliot, give the mic. And they knew that if he gave me the mic, I'd just be like that. Hey.
Do you come up, is it Elliot that comes up with, so you've obviously got like shopping of the week and trying the new items in Keystore. Who comes up with all that stuff?
There needs to be an absolute massive thank you. And this is where I put a huge thumbs up to Keystore, because Keystore have a very creative and innovative marketing team. And what they've done is they've obviously understood that if they give free rein to young talent, they'll get great rewards. And that's my perspective. I mean, Elliot's perception that he might be quite embarrassed now, thinking, don't say that, Dad. But I'm so proud of him and mother-son as well. I love them equally as much as each other. But I can't help but say Keystore. And it really gives me, I think that's why they're growing so well. Because I would look at, I could be wrong, but I would look at other big brands and I think they would be less willing to not taking a punt is the wrong phrase, but they would be less willing to
Put faith,
because I think many people are really afraid of what their audience will say. And I absolutely know more than anything about how to make an audience feel good. So Elliot obviously understood that, and as a result of that, he knew what content to create. But Keystore were the ones that said, right, we're giving you the freedom to move forward. And there's carte blanche to an extent, because you still need to be very understanding of the brand. You need to be thoroughly respectful to anyone that comes into that store. And again, through an understanding of me knowing how to make people feel good, nobody comes in and they're intimidated, because I've got a total consciousness about, I'm going to make them feel at ease. I'm going to make them want to be part of this. And as a result, now we're getting folk at times queuing up in the store to come on the videos.
I think when we were on, there was a couple of people queuing up to get on a video after that.
And but again, at the basis of it is you got to be conscious how you're making your audience feel. And if you make them feel uneasy, if you make them feel intimidated, if you make them feel uneasy, then you're not going to get anything from them. So you really need to be, and it's like anything in life, it's like a girlfriend or a family member or a production assistant. If you make your audience feel good, they're going to work for you so well. But you can't just kid on. You need to make them feel good and that actually properly being good. And that's my perception of how Keystore are treating me, and that's how they're treating Elliot. And it's an easy win in business and life. Make people feel good and treat them well, and you'll get incredible rewards.
Reap the rewards.
Is there any, and you can't say us, right? But is there any interviews you've done in particular stores that sort of stick out to you as being funny, or just a funny altercation? One of the funniest ones I seen was, and this is just a daft thing that made me laugh so much. And it's again that thing where somebody's no used to really being on a camera, like, and I don't know who it was, and you're interviewing a guy and you're like, you're shopper of the week. Where is it you're from? And he goes like that. Round the corner. As if people are going to know where he is. Do you know what I mean?
That was Tam. That was Tam. I can't remember exactly where that was. But I think what people do is they become at ease. So they just say what they're naturally going to say. And that's what you want.
Right.
Because many interviews have you seen where you've got some interviewer that's primed to be serious and everything's a bit scared and a bit kind of
rigid.
Rigid. So I think when people just ease up, and I think that's where the gold lies. You know, and he's just like, around the corner. You know? And for me, I want to do more of that stuff, because the gold, you know, the audience and the responses from, I'm the guy that just tees it up, you know, creates a nice atmosphere. All of you provide the gold. And I think I don't watch a lot of social media, but I don't see a lot of really natural content. That's why YouTube went down so perfectly, because, and we've got to say that there was nothing of that was teed up. No. You just went, we're going to have a laugh.
How many comments on that?
That was crazy.
People always comment on this stuff saying, like, who wrote this script and all that. And I've never read a script in my life.
People think everything we done that day was scripted. No, how mad is that? We literally rocked up smoking crystal bars and that. Aye, mate, fuck knows what this is going to be. And then we met and it was so easy.
I know. And I think that's what happens when you're able to be at ease, enjoying yourself. It's like anything in life. The best footballers in life would tell you, I'm absolutely sure, that when they are on top of their game, they're chilling, they're relaxed, they're at ease. And I think that's what I'd encourage anyone who's watching to try and find the space in which you are relaxed, at ease, and you're yourself, because you can sense when somebody is their self. And any time we bring any, so the way interviews usually work is someone will walk in the store and I'll just go, how's it going? Come on out here. And before you know
it, on them a bit.
before you know it, and most folk are very willing. There's occasionally folk who say, listen, I'm a bit shy and I don't want to. And you say, I absolutely understand. That's cool. No problem. But I think there's a lot of gold there just within people.
Do you know what I think's gold? Do you know what a guy in my work said the other day? I was saying they were getting you on the night, and he was like, "Oh, I hear he's a brilliant dancer, by the way."
that was you can move, by the way.
And I went back and I had a good look, and I was like, "Because obviously I've seen you dancing, but I want to see this for a technical." And mate, you're a good dancer, by the way.
Snake hips.
Well, aye.
Do you know what's funny? So Elliot introduced me all these strange TikTok concepts. He says, Dad, there's this thing called Rick Roll. Right? And I was like, well, I just say to him, Elliot,
Rick Roll.
Right? So he says, I says, Elliot, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Just tell me what you want me to do. He says, right, I want you to dance like Rick Astley to Rick Astley. Now, bizarrely enough, the first lassie that I ever went out with, that was her song. Never gonna give you up. And I thought to myself, see if she ever watches this and thinks this is some sort of tribute to her love back in the day. She was sitting there, you know, starry-eyed, and I was
sitting outside a Keystore every night.
Do you think she's been sitting with somebody and went, used to go out with him?
I don't know. But I, when I was doing it, I was thinking, oh my God, she's going to be looking at this thinking this is some sort of lost love letter to her. Do you know what I mean? She's a fabulous girl and wonderful family and all the rest of it. But I was just doing it thinking, I wonder if she'll ever see this.
Probably has. That one went big, didn't it?
I don't know. I've stopped. I just, as I said, watching them was all about a head fry. Do you know what I mean? We're just like, I don't know if you get that as well. For me, just looking at myself on a screen, I'm just like,
we need to. I understand what you're saying. I need to watch myself in here for about an hour and a half every week. I need to watch every minute.
More than that, usually. Usually a couple.
And I watch back and go, why am I fucking shaking my leg? My girlfriend gives me into trouble for that all the time. See that?
No one will notice that though.
Oh, I thought,
do they?
My
I don't
leg
know.
shakes, brother.
Aye, but nobody else notices it. It's
That's
just your
what I
own
mean.
thing.
It is,
But
absolutely.
My girlfriend, that's because she's my girlfriend, I suppose. She was like, you need to stop
When
shaking
I
your
watch
leg.
your podcast, I zoom into my face and stare
For the whole time.
Well, it's like if you ever get a photograph, the first thing you do and you spend quite a bit of time is just looking at yourself.
Aye.
Of course.
And that's why it's that interesting thing where so many people are absolutely consumed about what other people think of them. When you actually understand, which I managed to overcome a long time ago, nobody's bothered about me.
Aye. Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about Greg Summers.
Aye,
Gregor Summers, Graham Summers, whatever.
Graham.
Do you know, genuinely, nobody, and that's a great thing I think to learn in life. Nobody's bothered about you.
Nobody cares, mate.
Nobody cares. And see, when you know that, it allows you to just go.
Aye, there's like books and that about that now that are not giving a fuck. No, that
Jenny,
like that's quite a good.
That is. See, he's an older guy, right? I'm not saying listen to me. I'm an older guy, but one of the things I've learned in life, nobody cares.
Aye.
And see, when you know that, if you step into what you do with care to other people, then you can leave a good impression. But when you get rid of that whole hang up about what's he saying, what's she saying, what am I doing, and see, when you're able to overcome that and you understand, people are that immersed in their own image, their own perception, their own mind. They've not got time to think about you.
You know that's special.
And that's it. And that's one of the things I know. I'm not that special. Nobody really, other than my friends and family, and they do care about me. But in general, most people don't really
Nobody's
care.
spending more than like 5 seconds thinking about you.
That's it.
Because
So-
they're too busy thinking about
They're
themselves.
thinking about themselves and their nearest and their dearest and the troubles of the day. So that's why I encourage anyone, just don't get that head up on what people think about you. As long as if you're not that good a person, then maybe you want to consider changing elements of
feel
yourself. But nobody really cares about you.
I feel like that can sometimes get misconstrued by like people who are like genuinely bad people. I just do what I want, mate. And it's like, mate, you can't be doing that. You stab that guy.
I know. But it's that interesting thing where you consider even the really bad people who you would consider evil have elements of goodness in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'd like to think that you try and find that, you know, within them. But they can't all just be 100% pure mad evil. There needs to be a wee bit.
Aye.
There could be, but there could just be 110 evil.
I would say maybe Richard Ramirez, Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
I don't think he done many good things.
Plankton for the SpongeBob.
He is horrible.
Straight up evil.
You know who Plankton is?
I don't.
He's a horrible guy.
SpongeBob is the... Yeah,
He's the guy that's got the square pants.
is it in SpongeBob SquarePants?
Guys, unfortunately, YouTube absolutely hates us. We don't get monetization on any of our videos. That means we don't get any ad money from anything we upload on YouTube.
Please give us money.
So we rely on people to go and subscribe to our Patreon.
People say money doesn't buy happiness. They're fucking liars. They're liars and fucking bastards.
At our Patreon, you subscribe, you pay a monthly fee. There's a range of different tiers.
Money's everything, mate. Money's like all. Money's all we need.
Where you get more episodes, early episodes.
Klarna debt, credit card debt, Foxy Bingo debt. I bought a speedboat. Can't afford that thing.
Once you subscribe to the Patreon, you'll start getting bonus episodes. So you'll get things like different perks. You'll get early episodes. You'll get access to the Discord.
Please, £4 a pop when I'm buying butter.
And it allows you to support us to get all our own equipment. That's the reason that we're standing here today with all our own stuff. It's because of people supporting the Patreon.
Lurpak is out the question. I'm on Norpak at the best of times.
So if you feel like giving a bit more and you'll get maybe bonus episodes, early episodes, vlogs, things that you don't see on the YouTube.
I think podcasts just growing trees. All these cameras and that, it's expensive. Everything is expensive. This is expensive.
Then go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Reilly's Gaff.
All right.
The merch is back. It was gone, and now it's back. We've made it the better, sexy, hot, voluptuous t-shirts for hot singles and couples. Cheaper. Well, inflation and that it is more money, but you can wear it. You could shower, dry yourself after a shower with it. You could roll it up into a wee ball and kick it about with all your mates. There was no slaves or anything involved making any of the clothes. Just joking. Go to reillysgaff.com/shop and you can buy it.
The only kind of kids TV program I remember was as the boys were growing up was The Bear in the Big Blue House.
Mate, the Bears in the Big Blue House.
the Bear in the Big Blue House.
Have you ever heard of the Bears in the Big Blue House? It was a fake podcast.
It's like a parody Rangers fan podcast.
No, I never heard of it.
No. Derek Chugg and
Derek Chugg and JB McCausland. I'll send you something. I'll get.
that was our pals had like a parody of like a Rangers podcast. It'd be
was
like,
it?
So
Was
when,
it?
aye,
It's
when,
absolutely terrible.
when Rangers get beat, Derek Chugg's meant to be this sort of, sort of idiot, loud, obnoxious, staunch, and then the other guy's meant to be, a bit like sort of Hugh Keevans.
The Cavalier in a
Aye,
way.
a bit like drives on Mercedes Benz, and we'll send you. It's really funny, but they've stopped doing it now because they're on to bigger professional things.
They're doing stuff at the Pavilion and all that. They're no ball.
Aye.
The SCCC, sorry. But the Bear in the Big Blue House. I actually never watched that. I only know it for the.
That was a lovely.
when it-
I'm going to eat my chocolate bar.
bang
It's
on.
all right because I've had no dinner. I'm
Well,
starving.
have you know? I had my mom made me. I went down to my mom's to get changed. She made me a chicken curry, and the rice was fucking rock solid, bro.
Oh, no.
I say, Mum, you're no cooked the fucking rice, you fucking cow.
Basmati rice is.
That was fucking
I learned-
hazmat fucking rice.
I learned how to cook basmati rice recently for the first time in years and years and years.
What
If
is
you
it
get-
different for rice?
I don't know, but basically it's 2-to-1 the ratio. Bring the water to the boil. When it comes to the boil, turn it down, let it simmer, put a lid on, and just let it slow cook.
That's Pauline Kelly, my
You
mother's.
listening, Ma?
That's
how you
mate,
fucking do it.
That's my mother.
Is that the way she does it?
She does a cup and a half of water to like 1.5 of the rice. Does the exact same thing. And do you know what I said to the other day? One day I'm going to make a TikTok of you explaining this because it makes the perfect
Aye.
rice and it's the easiest thing
Uh-huh,
ever. You just leave it in the pot.
I could never cook it.
Aye.
Followed this simple recipe. Perfect basmati, sorted.
Oh, you can't beat that.
TikTok's good for things like that, wee bits of advice and that. I think you're a very interesting guy. I
Thank
think
you,
you're
Evan.
in the nicest way possible. I think you're quite an unusual guy, but unusual in a way that I think I totally get where you're coming from. Where like you're quite, like so you do the Keystore TikTok and me and Jamie met you, but you were very sincerely grateful that we came on it, and you were very complimentary of like how we were on it, and even afterwards you were like, you smashed it. Even when I got your number off Elliot the other day, you were like, I don't think you realised what you've done there. And you're one of these people that I think, like you're saying, when you talk to you feel better. Like I remember I was feeling shit about the podcast the other day. I was like, oh fuck, can't I get guests on? The studio is fucked. And I was talking to you and you're like, you're damn brilliant. And I was like, we are doing all right, man. So I want to know, take me back to little Greg Summers, right? Young man growing up, not far from here, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Close by here. Have you always had this sort of temperament, even for a young age, or is that something you've sort of like learned off other people and kind of maybe had like maybe a mentor in life? You're like, I kind of want to be like that. Have you always been like that?
It's a great question, Evan. Thanks for asking it. It's a really, really cool question. So, 1974, my mum passed away and left my dad with 4 children in the 70s on his own. So, I had a very good relationship with my dad, and I watched a man Now, he had these failings as we all do, but I watched the guy raise 4 kids in his Todd. You know, when there was no social security, we struggled to get a home help. And this was a guy that was trying to run a youth football team in his community. He was campaigning for a bus to take the elderly to Shawlands so they didn't have to get ripped off at the local store, which was very expensive. And Keystore's very, very affordable,
Reasonable.
by the way.
There was no Keystores back then.
And a big shout out to Keystore because I've had such a wonderful experience with them. But so I suppose at a very early age, when you watch a very strong male figure in your life do all the things that you admire and dedicate his life to me, my brother, and my 2 sisters, that was one of the key things that had a big impact and effect on my life. And I you know, with not going into heavy detail, I had a very, very wonderful, enjoyable, happy life growing up, but I had some very, very profoundly deep, dark things I witnessed in 70s and 80s Glasgow. One of my best friends died when he was 16. 3 of my friends ended up in psychiatric units by the age of 21. And another friend of mine ended up in a wheelchair by the age of 25 through a really horrific instance. So I by no means had the worst childhood in the world. I had a great childhood. I had loads of laughter, but I witnessed a lot of stuff going on around me that had a real, pretty powerful impact on me. And I don't know, maybe about 19, 20, I thought, there's 2 ways you can go in this world. You know, I can follow a lot of the things I've seen, or I can start to navigate my own path. I don't know whether or not it was, you know, people praying for me or my dad praying for me. But I just slowly started to find my way. And there's 2 things that have always had a major impact in my life, and that's the community that I live in and communication. They're the 2 comms that are my life. So I've made a really good living, had the most spectacularly amazing career experience in 25 years in communication. And beyond that, I've been involved in projects in my community that I could greet when I think about it. They've been that wonderful. And as a result of hopefully the time that I've given it my community, I see other people doing it now as well. So I can't really, that's a really deep, reflective question, but I think there's things I know that to get by in this world, you need to treat people well, and you really need to consciously treat people well, and you need to serve your community. You need to serve others.
Aye.
You need to. We can't live in a world where we just think. I went through a period in my life over the last 10 years where I heard people moaning about things that were going on in their community, and I got at this stage where I thought, I'm only going to listen to people who are going to step forward and help, that are really going to step forward and say, this is difficult, but here's what I'm going to do to make it better.
Aye, solutions, not just
Solutions,
problems.
100%. And as a result of that, I've got some of the most incredible friends in my life who are proper servers. A shout to my mate Pat Bannon, who runs Bannon Fitness in Coatbridge. He's an angel. He runs a community fitness club, 50p for kids, £2 for adults, free for the unemployed, in a challenged area of Coatbridge. And my goodness, this guy is an angel. My other big friend Sked, who runs a community garden in Milton Campsie, that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most beautiful community garden built by one man. Proper legends, proper men, proper lights in their community, proper servers, and I'm honoured that they're my mates. And
Did you see a lot of people, see when you say you're going through maybe the 80s and 90s in Glasgow, did you see a lot of people around you doing things like that at that time?
Glasgow was a very different place. I don't know what it's like now in terms of violence and, you know, kids doing what they do or young people doing what they do, but I've seen a lot of violence, and I've seen a completely different culture. It was a culture that it's hard to articulate in a short period of time what Glasgow was like. And it was a brilliant place, and it still is. Glasgow is a wonderful, wonderful city. It's celebrating its 850th year as a borough next year, and hopefully I'll be doing some work in that. And the evolution of Glasgow has been tremendous, and it's an incredible place. But it was a very different place in the 70s and 80s. And but you didn't know when you were growing up what you were just experiencing around you, particularly if you lived close to poverty. I'm not saying by any means I lived in utter poverty, but it was a bit rough, you know. So it made you understand the life that you lived, you know. It shaped your mind, I suppose.
Can I ask about you were saying that you were able to do some projects for your community. Can you tell us about one of them maybe?
Aye,
I love stuff like that.
Absolutely,
like, you were
absolutely.
You were saying about your mate there, like I always just like I've said to you ages ago, there's one thing I want to be, and it's like now when somebody's in court or something, and it's like this is a credible man, like this is an upstanding citizen, and that I love that.
You need a couple of things in the record.
You tell me any young man who doesn't want to experience that feeling, Jamie, who doesn't want to be regarded as a good young man. And I feel these days young men are almost not encouraged to be good young gentlemen.
No,
right?
It's the opposite,
we're not encouraged, and I would encourage any young guy listening, think about how you can make improvements in your community, improvements to your friends, improvements to you, and a lot of that comes through, without sounding too fruity, and I hope I'm not, serving, just helping other people. And one of the projects that we started in 2014, there was an old railway station in the village in which I live. And it was it'd been a bit run down over many years. I don't know if you know the history of how the railways were closed in Britain throughout the 1960s. A fascinating story.
Is that when they went private? Like what happened? It used to be like nationalised, and then it wasn't, or something.
Well, no. What happened was the British Rail Network, which basically was part of the British Empire. It was a huge, before cars, everything was carried by rail. If you go into Glasgow Central Station, you take the time to actually look at the Central Hotel and the magnitude and the grandness of this building. Everything came into Glasgow, by rail before the cars were built. And what happened when the kind of late 50s, mid 60s, there was a report done by a guy called Lord Beechings. It was called the Beechings Report, and he was encouraged basically to say that there was a lack of need for rail. Anyway, as a result of that, lots of the railway stations and the rail network was closed. And one of those lines that was closed was in Milton-Campsie. So over 30 years, it just became disused and a bit of an eyesore. And 2014, we encouraged the local community, of which many of them were the young guys in the village, who stepped forward, transformed this railway station from a disused space into a beautiful community garden. Class. And the local community looked upon these young men with real gratitude, with real pride, and they were able to walk about their community realising that they'd done real good.
Made a difference.
Oh, a huge difference. Not just made a difference.
I'm raging because I love, like, when I go to the Campsies and they get a bus, would have been lovely to get a train.
Oh,
some maniacs cycle up that hill. Have you ever?
do.
Oh man,
cycle up the hill?
See when I drive by the guys, I go,
yep.
Fucking hell.
We're sitting with one of them.
One of the guys.
See if you ever get the opportunity, cycle out in the Campsies.
No.
Well, if you cycle from Milton-Campsie to Strathplain, it's flat. It's completely flat because you're at the side of the Campsies, and then you can cycle from Strathplain to Dumgoyne, which is where the distillery is, and then beyond that you've got the Devil's Pulpit. If you've never been to the Devil's Pulpit, it's off the charts.
It's
nice.
Classic.
And then from there you can cycle to Aberfoyle. From Aberfoyle you can go to Callander.
Where am I getting a sleep in with all this?
Just take your time. Take your time. So it's a great place to live, and it's very beautiful as well.
I love that, like transforming something like a disused train station into something that's pretty on the eye. You know what I mean?
Anyone can do it, because it started basically. Remember, I walked into it and I thought, I'm going to get a brush. All I'm going to do is I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to brush that platform. That's what I'm going to do. And I remember I got my brush. I walked down. I started brushing it. This guy was walking his dog and he passed me and he said, "Here, mate." I went, "What?" He says, "What are you doing?"
There's a train coming, mate, manky.
And I said, "I'm cleaning up this platform." He says, "What are you doing that for?" I said, "Because I genuinely see the diamond that this place could be. It could be beautiful. And he looked at me and went, "You're off your nut."
Just seen him had junkie up there brushing the rails, man.
Beautiful hair and all.
So, but then it evolved from there, and then beyond that, we had a community event, and then in 2018, we put on a barefoot Ceilidh, where we had a barefoot Ceilidh party in the local park.
Where'd you get all the bears' feet?
It was so with that, and now, as I say, my friend has built the most amazing. And what's beautiful about it's not on TikTok, it's not on Facebook, it's not on social media.
We're going up.
We could change all of that. We can make serious money off this nice community project.
So
You don't want it on TikTok because my cousins, I've got family that stay in a wee town in Ayrshire. It's like a wee coastal town, and it's dead nice. But there's bits just at either side of it, and there's like these big nice caves and that in the sea, and someone posted a TikTok like climbing the hill, and it was an American person, and it was like, and then it was just like RV, like caravans just all along the beach.
That's the danger in it. I mean, I heard stories about that with the NC 500 as well. That
It's murder.
It's not that enjoyable anymore because it's just went.
I think a lot of places in Scotland. I think Skye's a bit like that as well. And where was I? St Andrews is flooded with just Americans.
Yeah.
Look at that golf shot, honey. You know where you're in my land. What I want to say is as well about that project. I went in uni and done community development, and what we get taught a lot is that. So you pulled those boys together, and they done that on their own. They didn't.
Well, it was me and other volunteers and the young guys.
But what I'm saying is there wasn't. You know, the council didn't come in and go, right, you boys, there wasn't a bigger agency involved. It was them. And then when they clean it, you said that to me, I don't know if you said it on camera, you said it to me before, that they sort of policed that area. And what we get taught was there's like serious value in people feeling ownership of their community.
100%.
So like see things like that. If an agency came in and told them to do it, they'd be like, fuck off, no damn what you tell us. Because it was a member of the community, there's a value in that. I think we done a thing on when they wanted to build a bit of motorway going through Pollock, and or it was either that. Or
I remember that campaign,
and there was people out campaigning and stuff.
People living in the trees in Pollock Park.
I just campaigning and no wanting, because it was this bigger sort of, we're coming in here and we're doing this, but they were trying to sell it to the community as it's going to be amazing for you, but because it wasn't for the community, they were like, fuck off. But we always get taught when you go into a community, don't go in and go, right, I've noticed that's a mess there, we should clean that up. You go to people and you go, what do you think you should change? Because then that'll breed real change in a community rather than you get in with your ideas about a place that you've never been in your life.
There's a great story about 10 or 15 years ago. The moderator of the Church of Scotland, can't remember the gentleman's name, but he believed, and if he was going to preach about community improvement, if he was going to preach about leading people who were downtrodden, he couldn't do that from a manse in the leafy suburbs of Edinburgh. So he went and he lived for many years in a flat in Castlemilk, in amongst the people that he was proclaiming to want to help. And that's the kind of admirable quality that I admire. You know, you're not claiming this is what we should do, and this is, go and live in amongst them, become their friends, love them, and then look to what can be improved and take it. And when you look to improve a community, my thoughts on it were, no disrespect to anyone who is middle class and wears Hunter wellies, they're very welcome. They can come along, they can get involved, they can have a laugh. I wanted the people in the boundary. I wanted the kids that nobody thought would do it. I wanted elderly people that couldn't get access in, would be able to come down and plant a plant. I wanted people who, if other folks seen that they were there, they'd almost think, well, Mike, they're there, we should be there. You know, and I think if you just put on events and it's just, you know, without using, don't mean to use this term, but privileged folk, if you look for the folk that are right on the periphery and the boundary and you bring them in, it's easy, you can get anyone. Get folk right at the edge, get them in.
If you get a bunch of wee Neds to come and chip in, then the librarians know running.
Listen, that is, we proved that. And a lot of it is, you can have an agency come in and do it. You can have, it's how you speak to them. It's how you connect with them. It's so, and that's a skill. Fortunately, I feel as if I got that. I don't know how you can create it, but I know that that's what you need. If you're going to connect with an audience and want them to do something, they need to relate to you, and you need to be with them, leading them. You can't be saying, right, listen, here, wait a minute. You want to grab those slabs and lay them there? I'll sit here.
You boy.
And another absolutely crucial, and this is probably the most powerful aspect of the work that we done, our village. No money.
Aye.
Nothing. We never took a bean. We never accepted money, because see, when money comes into the circle of any project or everything becomes different, muddy, unclear. Where did that go? What's that? So we kept money completely out of it. And we had so with a lady who was wanting to donate 800 quid to the railway station project, and she said, we'd like to give you some money. I said, well, I ain't got a bank account, but I tell you what we do need. We need some old railway signs, so you could buy the railway signs and we'll put them up.
Like provide actual.
Don't give us the money, buy something, we'll stick it up. And that's
because then it's a part of them as well. Then it's like their thing.
And we got the young team to go drill it into the old railway concrete.
Love it.
Took us about 3 hours.
Love it.
But everyone was part of it and there was no money. That's why it worked.
Do you know the best? Well, my favourite kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, like nature preserving kind of campaign is Flamingo Land is owned to trying to build one at Loch Lomond.
They can't. It's the Bonnie Banks. They're never going to. You can't penetrate the Bonnie Banks.
It's interesting,
me. Don't come for a Bonnie Banks. I'll be staying a 3 in Loch Lomond soon.
Flamingo Land. Try to take the Bonnie Banks off us.
No, I'll be up.
Runrig didn't he die for this?
No.
Alright.
So it's an interesting story. I know a wee bit about that.
Nice.
They do a lot of cycling out that way, and there's very different feelings in the community about where that should go, because there's a number of people in Balloch and the surrounding area. If you look at the plans, some people say they've not really been presented truthfully to. So I don't know where it's going to go, but there are people who are for it as well.
I don't like the sound of it, man.
Well,
there's just something about Flamingo Land up Loch Lomond that doesn't sit right with me.
What about an Alton Towers?
I think just anything that's came south of the border, I'm not letting near my body.
What if M&D's wanted to expand?
M&D's 2.0. M&D's 2.0. You can have carte blanche.
Separate the banks. Come on in.
Like Moses, part of the banks.
Aye. Greg, we normally do an hour for YouTube, and then we do a bonus part for our Patreon. That's people that are only subscribers.
Where are we in terms of time?
How long we done? An hour and 5 minutes.
Can you believe that?
So do I hang about or do I go? We'd
love you to stay for another half
cool.
an hour if you want
absolutely.
to. You up for
No
it?
problem.
You want your dinner? Is that
No,
Mars bar
I've got my dinner.
Oh, there we go. Aye.
I've got my dinner.
YouTube, we love you. Come over to Patreon, see the rest of the episode. The Keystore guy, Greg. He's here.
Gary, it's been great.
Gary, he's got his Mars bar duo. We might even get tucked into a blue juice. We're going to continue the conversation. This man's got some stories. I want to ask him about his. What this man does is, see if you're like that, oh no, I'm scared to talk. He goes, fucking sit down, mate. Sit down, I'll tell you how to do it. So we're going to get into that. I want to ask about that. And you can watch the rest of the episode for $0. The free trial is on patreon.com/Reilly's Gaff. We'll see you there.
Let's go.